The 50th annual NFL selection meeting is now in session.
There's nothing quite like draft day. All the work that's gone into scouting.
3 franchise wide receivers are still on the board, which is surprising to me.
All the different possibilities.
That's the most exotic pick of the day. This shocks everybody.
The uncertainty.
It's amazing the way these guys plummet.
All explodes in a moment of exultant joy.
The home season opened the following week in Franklin Field. Season ticket sales had been cut off at a record 54,000 plus. And a capacity crowd saw former Heisman winner John Hewart start his first NFL game.
So, you think the 2023 Eagles collapse was bad? Buddy, let me take you back to 1968. A season so ugly, so depressing, and so wildly chaotic, it makes your uncle's Thanksgiving Eagles rant seem like a Hallmark movie. This was the year the Philadelphia Eagles invented new ways to lose. They didn't just lose, they committed to losing like it was a new lifestyle choice. 11 straight defeats to open the season, 7 of them by double digits. Their biggest humiliation, a 47-13 demolition by the Cleveland Browns, where the scoreboard looked less like football and more like a fire alarm. By week 8, the team was basically auditioning for a new sport. At 0-11, the suspense wasn't about can they win. It was about can they finish an entire season without accidentally winning. But to really understand how this train wreck happened, you've got to meet the guy driving the train straight off the tracks. Joe Kuharich might be the most universally disliked coach in Philly history, and that's saying something. He rolled into town in 1964 after flopping in Washington, and his record in Philly ended at 28-41-1. That's not coaching, that's malpractice. In 1968, his Eagles offense ranked second worst in the NFL, putting up just 14.4 points a game. Fans despised him so much they held protests and flew banners calling for his head. And when the season mercifully ended, Kuharich never coached in the NFL again. He wasn't fired from Philadelphia football, he was basically exiled from it. And as bad as the coaching was, the quarterback situation made things look even worse. Norm Snead was supposed to steady the offense. Instead, he gift-wrapped the ball for defenses like it was Christmas morning. 21 interceptions in just 11 starts. An NFL high, add in only 11 touchdowns, and you've got a stat line uglier than a wet snow game at Franklin Field. His passer rating, 50.2. For context, that's the kind of number you get if you spike the ball straight into the ground every play. Fans had more faith in the defense scoring than Snead leading a drive. But if you're thinking, hey, at least all this misery got the Eagles a #1 draft pick, think again. This is Philly. Happy endings are not on the menu. Here's the cruelest twist of the entire 1968 disaster. The Eagles were supposed to finish dead last. They were supposed to have the #1 pick in the 1969 NFL draft. And waiting at the top, a can't-miss superstar out of USC, running back O.J. Simpson.
As I said, I know where my weaknesses were. As I said, I regret being unfaithful. You know, I think I made up, hopefully I made up for my other deeds. But we'll see.
Yeah, because I meant, like, obviously there's so many rumors, whatever, but only you really know the truth, so I guess...
No, I'm not the only one that knows the truth.
Now put aside what happened later in OJ's life. We're talking strictly football. At the time, Simpson was the most electrifying prospect in the country, a Heisman winner, a guy who averaged 1,700 yards, rushing in college before they even played 12-game seasons. He was the kind of player who could change a franchise overnight. Eagles fans had one reason to keep watching in '68. Be bad enough and we'll get OJ. But Philly being Philly, they found a way to mess it up. After losing their first 11 games and having the inside track to the #1 pick locked down, the Eagles did the worst possible thing. They won, not once, but twice. They knocked off the Lions and the Saints late in the season, wins that meant nothing, games that nobody will ever remember except for how much they cost. Those two meaningless victories dropped them to the #3 slot in the draft. the Buffalo Bills, sitting pretty at number 1, scooped up O.J. Simpson, who went on to win 4 rushing titles, an MVP, and become the fastest player in NFL history to reach 2,000 yards in a season. The Eagles, they ended up with running back Leroy Keys out of Purdue, a guy who was out of Philly in 4 years and out of football in 5. That's not just losing, it's stepping on a rake, tripping over it, and then falling into a pothole. Missing on OJ wasn't just a draft bust, it was a franchise setback. The Eagles spent the next decade wandering in the wilderness while Buffalo built its entire identity around Simpson. Imagine the alternate timeline. OJ in Philly, behind a young offensive line, maybe even turning those wasted years into playoff runs. Instead, the Eagles got nothing but regret. It's one thing to lose on Sundays, it's another thing to lose on draft day. In 1968, Philly managed to do both. And if blowing their shot at O.J. Simpson wasn't painful enough, the Eagles still managed to waste the stars they already had. Case in point, a future Hall of Famer who probably wishes his stop in Philly never even happened. Yes, that Mike Ditka, Mr. Bears legend, Mr. Super Bowl Shuffle, spent 1968 in Philly, and he might want you to forget it. Ditka caught just 11 passes for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns, the second worst season of his career. The guy went from being a dominant force in Chicago to being, well, a trivia answer in Philly. And to twist the knife, the Cowboys picked him up after this, and he finished his career in Dallas. Of course he did. Still, even in a dumpster fire, sometimes a spark shines through. Amid all the losing, running back Tom Woodschick put together the best year of his career. He rushed for 947 yards at 4.2 yards a pop, made the Pro Bowl, and even got All-Pro recognition. On any other team, this would have been a breakthrough moment. On the 68 Eagles, it was like putting a diamond necklace on a crash test dummy. Woodschick's season deserved confetti showers, but all he got was the stink of a 2-12 record. And while Woodschick ran hard, the defense was just running for survival. You almost feel bad for the 1968 Eagles defense. Almost. Statistically, they gave up 351 points, one of the worst marks in the league. But here's the thing. A lot of those points weren't entirely on them. Imagine trying to stop NFL offenses when your quarterback throws 29 interceptions in a season. Half the time, the defense was running back onto the field before they'd even caught their breath. It was basically the football version of being the little brother stuck cleaning up the older sibling's mess. Oh, Norm Snead threw another pick? Cool. Let me just jog out here at our own 30-yard line again. Thanks, Norm. And when you look at the numbers, it's brutal. The Eagles allowed nearly 26 points a game. In today's NFL, that's a defense ranked somewhere between we're doomed and start tanking now. By mid-season, opposing offenses weren't game planning for Philly. They were licking their chops. Even when the defense did hold, it barely mattered. The offense was so anemic that a 10-point deficit felt like climbing Mount Everest in loafers. Imagine being a defensive end, busting your tail for 3 straight downs, forcing a punt, then sitting down on the bench for 30 seconds before Snead threw it right back to the other team. That wasn't football, that was cardio. And the psychological toll, forget about it. By November, these guys knew the season was toast. They weren't just playing for pride, they were playing to not end up on the wrong side of NFL blooper reels. Honestly, the only thing scarier than facing the 68 Eagles defense was being on the 68 Eagles defense. And if the defense felt beaten down, the fans were beyond fed up. All that frustration, all that misery, it was about to boil over in one of the most infamous moments in sports history. And yes, it involved Santa Claus. December 1968 gave us the most Philly moment ever, booing Santa Claus. During halftime of the final home game, fans saw a scraggly, skinny Santa come out on the field and decided enough was enough.
The team had started the year 0-11, which was awful, except that people thought, you know what? We're going to get O.J. That was the year O.J. Simpson came out.
right at the point where you're happy that they're losing games, they start to win games. Now the season is truly a total loss because now you're just a bad team. You're not the worst team, which is what you wanted to be, but you're just a bad team.
Snowballs flew. The national media lost their minds. And just like that, Eagles fans got stamped with the meanest fans in sports label they still carry today. Was it fair? Maybe not. Was it hilarious? Absolutely. In a year of football misery, booing Santa became the headline. But the real damage from 1968 wasn't just embarrassment. It was the ripple effect that lasted for years.
Safety blitz. Tommy Meyer shows the safety blitz. Be alert for it.
In the huddle, I call a play. It's like everybody knows that everyone's going to do their job. It's not like, well, I can take it easy this play because I know the other guy will handle it. You know, everyone is going out every play and busting their butt to do their job and get the job done.
The Eagles didn't sniff another winning season until 1978. One horrendous year put the franchise in a hole so deep it took a decade to climb out. Think about it. Bad coaching, botched drafts, wasted talent, it all combined to set Philly back almost a generation. It wasn't until Dick Vermeil arrived that the Eagles started looking like a real team again, finally making the Super Bowl in 1980. That's how far the shadow of 1968 reached. And in the end, that's why this season is still remembered, not for what they did, but for how catastrophically bad they were. The 1968 Eagles weren't just bad. They were memorably, historically, comically bad. They wasted Norm Snead. They wasted Mike Ditka. They lost O.J. Simpson before he even arrived, and they booed Santa for good measure. And yet, it all became part of Eagles lore. This wasn't just a season. It was a warning label, a badge of suffering, and oddly enough, a rallying point. Eagles fans wear that misery like armor now, because if you lived through 1968, you can live through anything. So there it is, the most embarrassing, painful, and oddly hilarious season in Eagles history. If you thought Eagles fans were tough today, just imagine surviving this. Now I want to hear from you. What's the worst season your team ever had? Drop it in the comments and let's see who has the saddest story. And if you enjoyed reliving Philly's biggest disaster, hit like, smash subscribe, and share this video with a fellow Eagles fan, because sometimes the best way to cope with pain is to laugh at it together.
To my knowledge, it's the largest amount ever given to an athlete.
I'm the number one pick. What the going on here?
San Francisco 49ers select Jerry Rice.
There's always somebody looking to knock you off the pedestal.
Aaron Rodgers will be solid. How far he drops is going to be the storyline.